as a roster that's ready to go win now.
What are our intentions in the draft?
There's a purpose for every person that's brought into this building. I don't want to collect players. I want to build a football team.
There's a type of brand that we want our players to play with. Smart, tough, aggressive, resilient.
The NFL draft, the New York Jets select a house call again. Oh, that is how he jumps over the
I don't want to collect players. I want to build a football team. It is draft one for head coach Aaron Glenn and GM Darren Muji. It's Inside the Jets here at One Jets Drive. We're just a couple minutes away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Joined in the studio here by Greens, Caroline. How you all feeling tonight?
Feeling pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this new regime's plan as it unfolds with the draft. I don't know what to expect, but I think that's almost the best part.
Yeah, I feel like, I think the cliche is, Christmas in April? But I really do feel like it kind of is, because if you're a draft junkie, this is maybe a year in the making, probably a little less for fans. And, there's a lot of smoke right now out there in terms of the NFL draft, on the draft media landscape. And look, we'll see where the chips fall. Everything could be a smokescreen or it could be real, and no one knows. That's the beauty of it.
All right, we're live here on Jets.com and on YouTube. We want fans to comment and then send in your questions as well. We're going to conduct a mock draft here in a couple moments. You just mentioned smoke, Greens. You're here at the building. What's the smoke coming out of this place right now?
I don't know if there is much smoke coming out of One Jets Drive because of the moving in silence era that Aaron Glenn has instilled here, and Darren Muji as well. But, I would say the Jets draft smoke in general seems to come down to Armand Membu, Tyler Warren, and then, from there, I think that you see little bits and pieces like, could someone like Jahdae Barron be in play at number 7, the Texas corner who plays inside, outside, a little safety as well. And so it just feels like there's a lot of hypotheticals, but the two mainstays, feels like it's been this way for a long time now, is Armand Membu out of Missouri, which would fill a hole at right tackle, which was vacated by Morgan Moses now with the Patriots, and Tyler Warren. And the Jets don't have a lot of experience in terms of production at tight end on this team right now, even though the Jets like what they have at the position.
Right, but some of those other factors could be people like Kelvin Banks, could be people like Mason Graham. It really depends on what those first 6 picks look like, and then who's available when the Jets are up at 7.
MJ Edits writes in and says, give me Tyler Warren. Of course, the Jets, under a different regime last year, went the Penn State route, drafting Olu Fashanu. Warren, what do we make of him as a prospect and value there at number 7 overall when we're talking about the tight end position?
Well, the first thing I want to say is, can MJ Edits, if you're watching this still, can you type why you want Tyler Warren? Like, I'm curious your reasoning. Not that I don't disagree with you, but you're saying give me Tyler Warren. Sounds like you have conviction. I want to know why you're so convicted that he's the right choice for the Jets. In terms of Tyler Warren, like, what's not to like about a guy that, A, won the Mackey Award, B, first of all, I didn't know John Mackey went to Syracuse until recently. That's bad on me.
That is
shameless plug. We don't got to go there.
Okay,
No, that is bad on you.
but it is bad on me, and I recognize
Shame on
that.
you.
Tyler Warren,
Did you go to school there?
I might have. 1,000 yards this past season, led the Big Ten in catches. He lined up in the Wildcat at times. And so, I thought Brian Baldinger said this when he was here. It was interesting. He said, not only do you have to worry about Tyler Warren as a pass catcher, you have to worry legitimately about him as a thrower of the football in the Wildcat because of his high school quarterback background.
He's a lefty.
Yeah, he is a lefty. He's a southpaw. So it's just interesting to see. And, for me, I think when Jets fans think about Tyler Warren, this is a guy that would benefit the Jets both in the pass game like we see here, and he's a willing blocker at the very least. So I think
You know
it's
what they
a plus
say
plus.
about the Big Ten? Hardest football conference to play in.
Are we just going to
Caroline, what do you make of what we're watching
Are we
here?
just
Number
gonna let that
44.
slide? We're talking about shameless plugs. What's that about? That's a subtweet.
No, I didn't say anything other
Do you
than
think
a
a
fact.
subtweet is now called a sub-X, by the way?
I hope not. Anyways, you know what I did find really interesting is all of the, not rumors, but a little bit of the rumors, smoke that you kind of referenced earlier, swirling today about the number 2 spot that currently belongs to the Cleveland Browns. Getting a lot of calls right now. I have been reading on the X.
You were going to say, I've heard.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, me, the insider over here. No, that I've been reading about on Twitter is that there could be, I mean, Adam Schefter was saying there could be a lot of explosive moves in the top 10. And it's just really interesting to me because, I don't know, people are making it out to seem like there's going to be a big trade happening in the top 10. But for what player?
How about our
and
friend
when?
Baldy last night? You see him take to social media? He said,
Well, was it a scuba breakdown?
well, it was something like that,
Okay.
but it looked like he was in the studio somewhere and might have been in Southern California and said, basically, he's hearing that there could be a blockbuster trade in the top 5. Well, to see. Warren is a Swiss Army knife. He does it all, says
He
Frank.
does.
Yeah, he certainly does. Ultra productive last season, like you said, Greens, more than 100 catches. He was the go-to guy. He's a mauler. What'd they call him? You got to like that nickname, Psycho T? Yeah.
That's his nickname?
That's what they called him in the tight end room.
Oh, wow.
Psycho T?
Yeah.
You know, I think that this has been on my mind ever since the Combine when Tyler Warren said, his dad said, hey, I want you to run like John Riggins, which is why he wears 44. He kind of gives Tim Riggins vibes.
Oh, my
doesn't he?
God. Yes, you literally just read my
Right,
mind.
like
Wow.
Tim Riggins, that's a Friday Night Lights pull for anyone.
Austin says, Warren, all day's a playmaker. Take your tackle in round 2.
Okay. That's interesting to me, though, what Austin said, because
Hold on.
Daniel
I jumped you. I wanted to make sure I read that off first, but you were talking about Tim Riggins vibes?
Oh, yeah, we were.
Tyler Warren gives the hair vibes, the Tim Riggins Friday Night Lights vibe.
Yeah, like run through a brick wall kind of
Yeah.
vibe. Mhm.
Yeah, and so, I don't know if he has the same, what would you call it, aura that Tim Riggins has. Like, we don't know that. We don't know Tyler Warren.
No.
I mean, we don't know Tim Riggins, but we know him a little more through the TV show.
Oh, we know Tim Riggins.
We know Tim Riggins.
We know
Okay.
Tim
We know Tim Riggins personally.
Wait, can we touch on, sorry, I know we're jumping all over the place, but before we went into the
Love you, Glenn.
Tim Riggins,
Can't wait, Go Jets.
Before we went into the Tim Riggins kind of rabbit hole there, you were saying that Baldy was hearing that there could be a blockbuster trade in the top 5.
In the top 5.
Who do you think the team is that's going to make that move, and for what player? That's my
Player's got to
question
be for
both of
Travis
you.
Hunter.
Okay.
To me, if it's to 2 overall, it's got to be for the Unicorn.
Okay.
And I feel like there's a little bit of smoke about the Jaguars potentially making that move.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know if I agree with it, but I like the idea for
So
it.
that's what you've been hearing, but what
I've been hearing.
do you want?
Oh, okay. What
in
do I
your
want?
perfect scenario.
Yeah, do I have a minute to think about it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you can think about it because I'm going to make a transition to Armand Membu out of Missouri.
You think that's going to be the blockbuster?
I don't know. Azuma says Membu, period. Okay? Here's a guy lined up at the right tackle position at Missouri. A lot of people think that he comes in, he's plug and play, he's be your starter from day one. He's a mauler, and he's an athletic freak. When you're talking about putting up numbers at the combine, and you love the pancake block there on the outside. Caroline, what do you think about Membu?
Oh, I think he's incredible, but I don't know that he's going to be there at 7 in my mind.
Ooh, okay.
yeah, I like that take.
I think he's going to go earlier than that, and I think that will force the Jets' hand to maybe go a different route than maybe they were originally planning, because I think a lot of people at the moment think that Armand Membu is going to go to the Jets because of that whole scenario with the right tackle spot needing to be filled. And I just don't see him lasting until 7.
I just want to, this kind of ties full circle, though, to what the comment was before about take Tyler Warren in round 7. I don't remember who commented it, but the comment was like, take Tyler Warren at 7 overall, take a tackle in round 2. Now, Daniel Jeremiah had a conference call this past Friday, and that question was kind of asked to him. Tight end tackle, where do you go for the Jets, round 1, round 2? And he said that he didn't love the projected tackle options at round 2 at pick 42. And knowing that this is a deep tight end class, there could be more value in taking a guy like Membu at 7, shoring up the offensive line, saying, all right, our line is set, and then in round 2, see who's available at tight end and select a player there. So just food for thought as, we're a couple minutes away here from the draft actually starting.
Armand Membu, 6'4", 332 pounds, 33.5 arm length, 82-inch wingspan. He ran the 40-yard dash in Indianapolis at 4.91 seconds.
Yeah, that's sick.
His athleticism is off the charts. Now, got to work on consistency, and you'll be talking about that for a number of prospects in terms of the next level. The Jets did address the offensive line in free agency. They signed Josh Myers. A lot of starting experience with the Green Bay Packers. They signed Chooks Okorafor, who most recently was with New England, just played a game last year. We don't really know the details there, but he's got a lot of starting experience on the right side. But, again, if Membu's there at 7, it would be interesting. What would be more fascinating is if Membu's there, Warren's there, maybe Kelvin Banks from Texas is there.
Right.
And what's going to happen with Mason Graham? Because to your point, Caroline, if Membu's not there, when's Graham going?
Yeah.
I mean, if Membu's going 5'6", let's say.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. And I will say, like, for the Jets specifically, of all the offensive tackle prospects, Membu seems to be the guy that has the resume to fit exactly what the Jets would need on their offensive line. Like Kelvin Banks played left tackle for Texas, something he might be a better guard in the NFL. Will Campbell played left tackle at LSU at a very high level, starting as a true freshman. He has no right tackle experience. And you'd imagine the Jets are going to continue to keep Olu Fashanu on the left side of the line, and Morgan Moses, who's now a New England Patriot, like, again, that's why Will Campbell makes sense there.
Right.
Because they have Morgan Moses. Will Campbell could just plug and play at left tackle, and that's a piece that could protect Drake May. So, yeah, that's why I think Membu is the more popular name of the tackles. Like, this Kelvin Banks top 7 smoke, that seems to be coming in hot, too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why Membu, though, continues to be the play for the Jets in terms of what's projected.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that Kelvin Banks hasn't been in the conversation more, because you talk about a guy who has had over the stat that he has over, like, what is it, 1,300 snaps, and he only allowed 1 sack.
Yeah.
What was it? It's like that kind of production is crazy. And so, especially in the SEC. So, to me, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't been talked about more. So, I mean, Azuma's agreeing with me. If he is not there, take Kelvin Banks Jr. So, I don't know what that would mean for the Jets' O-line and how they would shift around, or if they would just kind of try to switch Kelvin Banks to a right tackle immediately. But I am surprised, and I feel like I've felt this way the entire draft process, that his name wasn't brought up more in the top 10.
You know, I thought it was interesting that Banks is 6'5", 315 pounds. He's played that left tackle spot like you guys are talking about. That Dane Brugler, who does a tremendous job every year, as good as anybody out there in terms of the draft. I sent him a note last night because this is his season and he always shines. But with that being said, when he was doing his offensive line rankings, he actually projected Banks inside as a guard, which was kind of surprising. And Sarkisian was asked about that recently. He said, "Nah, listen, this guy's a tackle through and through."
Right, and I will say that I don't think any head coach would be like, "Yeah, you know what? He played left tackle for us. He should play guard for you." But look, to me, it should be similar to how teams view Will Campbell. Like, why not give a guy a shot at the natural position he's played at a high level for a long time on a very good team, and then see what happens from there? It's like, you know, for Will Campbell, some people are like, oh, well, will he be a better guard? Well, not many players just walk into Baton Rouge, Louisiana, start 38 games, including as a true freshman, against guys that included like Will Anderson, 3rd overall pick of the Texans, Jared Verse, defensive rookie of the year last year, I believe. So, look, he's gone up against top-level talent. He's walked on campus, earned the job, and did not give it up. And not to mention that even though he might lack the ideal arm length, like, the tape is the tape, and he's very good at it. And Brian Baldinger, when he did our draft preview show, said that that's his number 1 tackle, and he'd give him any team that drafts him a shot at left tackle and then go from there.
Okay, so it's interesting. Maybe Banks or Will Campbell have the highest floor. in terms of offensive linemen. But when I'm looking at Membu, I'm saying he's not a finished product. He might have the highest ceiling of any offensive lineman in this class. And when we look at all these prospects and we watch the tapes and we read what the analysts are saying, let's not forget these guys are not finished products. So Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff wants to get their hands on these guys and develop them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's been a big message that he hasn't explicitly outright said, but I mean, it's a little bit of proof in the pudding, right? Like, we've seen a lot of talented players that maybe need a little bit more development, need a little bit more coaching, get onto this Jets roster. And I think that's a little bit of something unspoken that this coaching staff really believes in, is they believe in the staff that they have gotten together, and they believe that they can develop talent.
Yeah, okay. So before we get to our mock draft, because I want to get to that here in a second, we were talking about what our team's going to do before the Jets. Give me a potential scenario here where you think the Jets move up or move down. And there might not be one for you.
I feel like move up is a little tough. You know, not because of the lack of talent that would be on the board for the Jets. Like, look, if Aaron Glenn is infatuated with a player and he thinks that player would take his team to the next level, and he and Darren Musi are like, okay, we can do this, like, all right, by all means. But on the other hand, it's year one of Aaron Glenn and Darren Musi. I don't necessarily know that they're, that they want to mortgage whatever future capital they have in order to go up. Like, would a guy like Travis Hunter be worth it? For sure, but at what price? And going back, I could, this is just like an Ethan Greenberg take, but I think moving back makes sense a decent amount for most teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this year's draft specifically, where there might be a big stack between, there's like top three prospects, as in Ward. I'm not even going to include the quarterbacks in this, actually. Like, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty seem to be in a different tier as prospects than the next tier below them. Mm-hmm. And so to me, if that's the way Darren Musi and Aaron Glenn and the scouting staff feel, then, and there's an offer that you like, I could see moving back for sure.
Okay. I will give you a scenario. I think,
here we go.
Let's say Mason Graham, Armand Membu. I'm trying to pick my third option. And Kelvin Banks are already so is Will Campbell, all already taken when the Jets get to 7. I could see them trading back, only a few spots, trading back, getting a little bit more capital, and then still being able to draft someone that they wanted to, but
like
maybe
Tyler Warren.
Like Tyler Warren, who's maybe like there at 11 or 12 or something, but still gaining a little bit more capital.
But are you going to tell us about another Big Ten tight end?
And then,
okay, well, now, this is just unfair. You're just baiting her up now.
Hang on. But then also, I could see them trading up from pick number 42.
Okay,
if they
I like
wanted to get someone late in the first round or right at the beginning of the second round, I could see them trading up from that pick.
Well, I like that.
Here's my thing about trading down. There you go, Caroline. Here's my thing about trading down. In theory, it's fine. You got to find that dance partner. Mm-hmm. Like, if we're going to go to the prom, you got to need somebody to dance with. And the second part of this, too, is I don't want to go too far back.
Right.
Because how many first-round grades do you have on guys? The big board is just, 30 yards down the hall from here. I got to imagine the Jets don't have much more than, maybe in the 15 range first-round grades here. So if you go too far back, then you're not going to get first-round value with the first-round pick.
Right.
Can I offer a hypothetical that goes off of what Caroline said, because that really got my brain moving? So let's say the Jets are on the clock.
At least something did.
Yeah, I know. The Jets are on the clock at 7 overall, okay? Yeah. Let's say, I'm not just saying this because of the way Twitter is right now. Ashton Genty's on the board. The Chicago Bears.
Yep.
They shored up their offensive line in free agency and via trade. Maybe they feel the missing piece for Ben Johnson, now the head coach of the Chicago Bears, is Ashton Genty. Maybe the Jets would trade back from 7 to 10, not a far jump, and hope and cross your fingers the player that you want is actually still on the clock at 10. Now, with that being said, I do know that we have kind of a hot take in the YouTube comments, and I think this is the time to toss it up. So we're talking about Jacrispy. Okay, that is a tough name for me to try to say here.
I was going to say,
on set
incredible
here.
username.
Jacrispy says draft a long snapper. Okay, and I don't think he means 7 overall. That's totally fine. You know, you want to take a specialist later on, and then Austin says Jacrispy. Okay, relax a little bit. Don't disrespect the GOAT Thomas Hennessy like that. And by the way, for what it's worth, I believe Thomas Hennessy was a draft day trade in 2017. So
I also have to agree with Austin. Jacrispy, don't disrespect Thomas Hennessy like that.
And if you can guess the player that Thomas Hennessy was traded for in the YouTube comments without looking it up, I will be very impressed.
What year?
I think it was 2017.
Did you guys know that Ethan has a photographic memory?
No, I do not. But I do remember this trade. And so if you can guess it, that'd be great. But if you look it up, there's no way, there's no proof that whoever comments
right.
will look it up.
Okay. Over under. How many trades from Darren Muji this weekend? I'll set it at 2.
Under.
Can you set it at 2.5?
No, I set it at 2.
So I can push.
You could.
Okay, I'll go under.
Mock draft time. Get the drum roll. Who's starting with Tennessee? Where are we going to start? I'll start with Tennessee.
okay.
How about me?
It's a layup.
Yep.
After much deliberation, the Tennessee Titans will take Miami quarterback Cam Ward.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. So are we doing trades in this mock draft?
Sure, Greens. Go ahead.
Well, the Cleveland Browns remain on the clock. I feel like this is when you're at a restaurant and you're like, "Hey, do you think this or this is better?" They answer, and you just go with option C.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I just did there.
The Browns are going to be skipped here in a second.
Well, the Cleveland Browns remain on the clock, and they say that they are taking the unicorn in cornerback and wide receiver. Travis Hunter is the newest Cleveland Brown.
After taking calls. So number 3, the crosstown NYG. The Giants are on the clock.
The Giants will be selecting Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall
Okay.
pick.
Chalk so far. I love it.
Abdul Carter. No quarterback taken by either the Browns or the Giants, and we're just going to number 7 in our mock draft simulator here. So we're up to number 4, the Patriots. Genty is very intriguing
Yeah,
here
give us something spicy.
because you do have Drake May,
Yep.
but I think Vrabel wants to win at the line of scrimmage. I think they really want to improve that offensive line. I feel like they've been linked to a kid from LSU
Yeah.
for a long time, Will Campbell. So get the chalk out, write on the chalkboard. Will Campbell, LSU, goes to the Patriots.
Okay, so this is all chalk so far. I have to shake it up a little bit here.
Go ahead, go crazy.
So with the 5th overall pick, okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm looking at NFL.com mock draft just for some inspiration. Daniel Jeremiah has Ashton Genty here at 5 overall. I hear you. I understand why, but I'm not going in that direction because I think the Jaguars still need a couple pieces before they can unleash someone like Ashton Genty. And I'm going Liam Cohen, new
Offensive coach.
offensive coach.
Could use a weapon for Trevor Lawrence.
Could, but give me Armand Membu, 5 overall. Protect the quarterback.
You just pissed off every
Yeah.
Who did you
Yeah.
take it for?
50% of Jets fans.
Yeah.
Who
What?
did you take it for?
Will Campbell.
I took Campbell.
Campbell, Membu, and now you're at 6.
So, Genty's on the clock. I mean, Genty's out there. Jalen Walker's out there. Calvin Banks is out
Here's
there.
the thing.
Tyler Warren's out there.
I
Warren.
really want to say Mason Graham because I
Got 2
know
minutes.
Tom Brady in that ownership
And Spytech.
Spytech is going
Olsen
to
Loveland's on the board as well.
vie for some Michigan. You know, I'm just going to go Mason Graham. Raiders
Okay.
going for Mason Graham.
All right, EA, floor's yours.
Okay. So, technical director Chris Evans says we have a comment. Trade back.
Yo, Holmes. That's what EA says to us sometimes.
Iman Wari, yes, a great friend. Trade back to the front of the second to take a receiver. 3rd round is right tackle. Thanks, Joe Holmes. Okay, so 7th. In this situation, for me, it's going to come down to, and we're all 3 going to select, but we got to get off because NFL Network is going to be starting their draft coverage here in one moment. For me, this ultimately, if the Jets stay here at 7 under this simulation, it's either Kelvin Banks from Texas or Tyler Warren
Pick
from
one.
Penn State.
You got to pick one.
I will take Penn State tight end Tyler Warren.
So does that mean I cannot take Tyler Warren in this case?
No, you can.
No, you can.
You can. The whole board is yours.
I just want to say, look, I'm here for chaos, okay? And the most chaotic pick I've seen in terms of the Jets is Jahdae Barron, and so I'm going to go with Jahdae Barron because of the chaos.
Just love to be annoying.
I do. I was going to say Jalen Walker, but
I knew you wanted to.
but that's because look, I've already said that on the mock draft show, so I can't double down on that.
I know.
Yeah, but without Schefter writing that article, what do you want? The Baron?
No, I just said
Okay,
that.
all right,
I wanna
Caroline,
say
you're up.
Of everybody else, that everything that has been reported to the Jets,
got it, Grease.
that's the most chaotic.
I'm gonna go with Kelvin Banks. If that's everyone that's been off the board, I'm gonna go with Kelvin Banks.
And who's playing right tackle next?
That is not my job. I just drafted him. I'm not telling you who plays where.
Well, remember, as we get out of here, the Detroit Lions, they had an opportunity a few years ago to draft a receiver or Penei Sewell, and they went Sewell. They fortified that offensive line. So, hey, the wait won't be long now. We're out of here.
Yeah, well, let's see you after the show.